You're listening to Financial Sense, Arizona's financial podcast that answers your real questions about money in your business and in your life. Recorded at and brought to you by National Bank of Arizona, the only bank you need. Hello, I'm John Lewis, Senior Vice President and Regional Commercial Manager at National Bank of Arizona. I'll be your guest host again today. On this episode of Financial Sense, we have Mark Stebbings, Director of Specialty Lending, and also with us, Jeff Melsek, Real Estate Commercial Portfolio Manager. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
On this podcast, we like to give people insights that they can only get from a friend in the business. Today, we've invited Mark and Jeff to talk about commercial real estate loans. So let's jump in. Mark, for listeners thinking about investing in commercial real estate, can you tell them about commercial real estate loans and what type of properties to get loans on?
Sure. Generally, commercial real estate properties are usually what we see and drive by every day when we're out and about in town, kind of going through our daily life. And those are going to include retail projects, multifamily projects, all of varying sizes, of course. You'll have industrial product as well as office. And then there's some other classifications which fall into commercial real estate, but definitely become more specialized just by their very nature. As an example, hotels, more of an operating business, but hotels would fall into commercial real estate. But those are the primary food groups, if you will.
So Jeff, as we think about commercial real estate loans, are there specific types of commercial real estate loans out there that people could look at getting?
There are many different types of commercial real estate loans. You can do acquisition loans. We can do acquisition rehab loans. We can do construction loans. Generally anywhere from 36 months to 60 months. With a bank like us, there's a lot of different clients that generally use our loans to reposition an asset, and then they go to a more permanent lender and get the 20 or 30-year amortizations, 10-year maturities on loans. But for us as a community bank, we're more focused on the acquisition and rehab and repositioning of commercial properties.
And John, I think it's important to note that there is no one-size-fits-all for a transaction. And it's working with your banker where you can find a customizable solution for your specific transaction.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's proven time and time again the value of sitting down and talking through that with a banker and getting that, coming together and coming up with a solution that will work for both sides. If there's somebody that's looking to get into a real estate investment, as you mentioned, there's properties all around, and if they're looking at that and looking at certain assets that they might want to purchase, what would be the next step for them to be able to start down the process of looking at getting a loan for commercial real estate?
Well, I think the first thing to recognize is that owning a commercial real estate property is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. It's not for somebody who lacks experience in terms of owning any types of property, any types of real estate, whether that just be your own personal home or having ownership experience in other areas of real estate, but then also understanding the financial side of the business, the operational side of the business. It takes time and energy and resources to be able to manage a property, to maintain a property. And there are professionals out there that can help. There are real estate professionals out there that can help. There are accountants and CPAs that can offer assistance, bankers like us that can offer assistance as well. And then also having a good qualified property manager that can help you manage your personal commercial real estate property that you own, as well as helping to manage the tenants within those real estate projects.
I can't agree more with the importance of having that knowledge and expertise behind it. I've worked with a lot of people over the years that they might be successful at doing one thing and see people investing in commercial real estate and think, well, it can't be that hard, right? It can't be that hard.
Right.
And then they realize it is difficult.
It is, and it can be time consuming. It can be capital intensive. It all depends on what type of real estate property you own. If you own an apartment project that has multiple tenants, you're obviously dealing with a lot more problems than somebody who may own a single-tenant office building.
So, Jeff, if you happen to be watching a hockey game and one of your friends approaches you and says, hey, thinking about buying some commercial real estate, what kind of tips would you give that person if they haven't been involved in commercial real estate in the past?
Sure. Well, if they haven't been involved in commercial real estate in the past, I'd go back to Mark's earlier statement is make sure that you talk to some professionals, get aligned with some people who maybe have been in the business or understand the business, because like we've talked about earlier, there's a lot of ins and outs of this business that people may not realize until they are too deep into it. Have your ducks in a row. It's important if you're going to get into commercial real estate to understand all of the different nuances of the different types of properties, understand which type of property it is that you're looking at, and the expenses, the costs, all of the maintenance that may be associated with those types of properties.
Mark, in your experiences that you've had with clients, is there anything that sticks out in particular where you've seen somebody kind of start into commercial real estate, start smaller and grow that over time with you?
Oh, absolutely. I have had clients that I've banked for over 20 years. And I've seen over that 20-year span where, they started with some much smaller transactions, office building, industrial buildings that probably had a value of less than $1 million. They got financing on those assets and invested additional capital and improved the condition of those assets, and over time improved the value of that asset, and then started to expand their portfolio. And now those portfolios over the past 20 years have grown from 3 or 4 industrial and office buildings to now over 100. And that's with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on the owner's side to get their portfolio to that. That's aside from owner-occupied, which I know, John, you have a lot of exposure to on the owner-occupied side, but also business clients that may be involved in, maybe a doctor who that's his primary occupation and then elects to invest into an investment commercial real estate property, which I think you see that quite a bit in your business.
Yeah, you do see that quite a bit. As a business owner might have first dabble into real estate by buying their own building, so their own owner-occupied space. And oftentimes what we'll see is they'll have their own space, and maybe the space next door comes up for sale, and they think, hey, you know what? I have my own space. I may as well buy this investment property next to me and start generating some residual cash flow. And it's worked out well to be able to provide opportunities for those small business owners to get into commercial real estate on a small scale, onto things that make sense for them and complement what they're doing today. And I know that, at National Bank of Arizona, we're working to put together solutions for people that want to invest in these smaller projects. And I know, Jeff, you've been engaged in that process of helping put together some products that will help those business owners continue to grow that portfolio.
Yes. Over the past couple months, we've worked to develop a platform to get to some of these smaller investment real estate people, like the doctors or the shop owner that wants to buy the space next door. So what we've done is we've put together a program for up to $3 million in commercial real estate financing, and we've tailored it to meet the needs of these first-time or maybe newer commercial real estate investors, the people who don't necessarily spend all of their time doing that, whether they run their own business or they work for another business. It's going to give them an opportunity to invest in smaller multifamily projects, smaller office, smaller retail, and smaller industrial projects across the state.
Yeah, Jeff, I've worked with a lot of people over the years that this worked out well for them. The opportunity, they're a business owner and they want to just invest in some real estate. And so they start and they might buy 1 building or 2 buildings, and it's not what they can focus on full time because they have their business to run. They have their obligations of their business, but they are able to carve out enough time to be able to make this successful for them. And it's worked out well. for them to be able to build a portfolio to complement what they're already doing today and generating income from their existing business.
Right, and it definitely doesn't have to be doctors, attorneys, business owners. You don't even have to own a business. Somebody like myself who works for a company, if I'm involved in commercial real estate and I want to keep my portfolio small, this is a product for them.
And currently in Arizona and Phoenix specifically, we're seeing this surge in real estate prices on the residential side. Real estate prices are going up. Homes are selling quickly. So it's kind of interesting dynamic. As far as commercial real estate goes, what are you guys seeing in the marketplace right now?
Well, there's a lot of unknowns right now in light of COVID and the potential impact on commercial real estate. Obviously a lot of folks now are working from home. And what does that mean for the office product? It's hard to say. Commercial real estate doesn't always go directly in sync with residential real estate values. So what's going to happen to, as an example, Central Phoenix real estate? If people don't need to be downtown and don't need to be close to work, they can live up in Flagstaff, or they can live out in Gilbert or somewhere else. What does that mean? So there's a lot of unknowns. All the press right now is saying the residential market is hot, and I think that's driven by low interest rates and people who were on the fence about moving are now ready to move. The commercial real estate market is going to move a little slower than that. So, but it will determine where we're going to go with commercial real estate, I think, over the next several months.
And when we start thinking about where to locate for find properties that are for sale from the commercial standpoint, I know my wife, she loves hanging out on the internet, looking at Zillow and other things on the residence, just looking at houses because that's just what she likes to do. If somebody wants to buy something on the commercial real estate side, where's the best route? What's the best route for them to go to find the right property?
Well, just like residential, the internet is a good source of listings for commercial real estate property. Probably where I've seen a lot of people find buildings for sale is through commercial brokers. Commercial brokers, their job is to sell properties and find buyers for properties, and they obviously have websites that you can go to and look at for the types of properties that they sell. Friends. A lot of the business that we do here is business with clients that we've had for quite some time. So they have their sources, but for somebody who's starting new, the internet would be a good spot, or friends if you have friends that are in the business.
Yeah, and we can help with that too. Given our connections here at National Bank of Arizona with the commercial real estate community, we network and deal with on a daily basis, obviously clients that own commercial real estate, but brokers, appraisers, the list goes on, and we have resources at our disposal that we can always ask for assistance and refer clients. But we do have relationships with all parties that really become involved with commercial real estate, and we'd be happy to make introductions for any of our clients or prospective clients that might be able to assist them in meeting their needs.
I would agree with that comment. Here at National Bank of Arizona, we pride ourselves on the fact that we are a smaller community bank and a relationship bank. So we have over many years, 20 years now, developed those relationships out in the community, and we are more than willing to help anybody who wants to get started in commercial real estate to get them to the right people.
Mark and Jeff, thanks for joining us today. A lot of great insight on investing in commercial real estate and the hows and the ways to be able to get there. Thanks for watching today. Check out more episodes on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on YouTube. Send us your financial questions if you have them, or leave a comment. We'll see you next time.